Ties Between Dimensions Chapter 2, Bonding Through Pain. Sonic awoke to a whirring sound nearby, his eyes snapping open as he was reminded of the terror that was the sky deck of the Ed carrier. The blue teen almost leapt from the couch but was hampered by his injuries, just managing to bolt upright, kicking off the blanket that had been placed upon him. It was then that he realized it was only Maddie vacuuming. Sonic breathed a sigh of relief as he looked for his crutches, seeing them on the coffee table in front of him. He grabbed them and hobbled over to Maddie.
"Morning, Maddie!"
He yelled over the ruckus. Maddie switched off the vacuum. Switched off the build over the ruckus.
What was that, sweetie?
"Just saying good morning."
She chuckled.
It's almost 2 in the afternoon, so you were a bit late on that one.
Maddie's eyes went wide as she realized what time it was.
Sonic's baseball practice ends in half an hour.
Sonic saw this as an opportunity to repay the kindness of these strangers.
"I can go get him."
Maddie looked down at the blue teen.
How you can't exactly run right now, with your leg and all.
"I can drive."
She raised a brow.
Really? You, a 15-year-old hedgehog, can drive? Where do you even keep your license?
"License? They never ask me for that at the racetrack."
Maddie sighed.
I get that you wanted to help, so tell you what, how about you just come along with?
She was interrupted by the sound of a door opening as her husband entered the house.
Tell him to pick Sonic up.
But I just got home.
Tom stayed confused. His eyes then went wide.
I forgot to go by the baseball field on the way home from the station.
"Well, no time to waste. Let's go."
Sonic exclaimed as he hobbled quickly out the door. Tom followed him and helped the blue hedgehog into the backseat.
"I still don't get why I have to be back here. Why can't I ride shotgun?"
Sonic, it's dangerous. You're not as big as most human kids your age.
"I've literally stood on the wing of a plane. Let me ride shotgun."
No can do. Besides, it keeps you in.
Sonic blinked.
Right. Don't need two blue devils around, I guess.
Tom closed the backseat door and soon got in the driver's side. He started the car up and began driving toward Green Hills Middle School at an incredibly fast yet surprisingly still legal speed. The trees surrounding him appeared as a blur.
"This feels like that movie we watched last night."
Tom smirked.
That'll be Cal Reed's next picture race to baseball practice.
He said with a chuckle.
"Who's Keanu Reeves?"
You're so lucky that Sonic didn't hear you say that. He lowers the man. In fact, I bet he'd choose him over me as a father if he could.
"No way!"
Sonic snorted.
"He's that obsessed."
Yeah, he apparently wants to be him for Halloween.
Tom chuckled.
"Halloween? What's that?"
Tom sighed. This hedgehog had a lot to learn. It reminded him of his Sonic when he first started living with them. All the questions about every single thing, customs, and tradition. Smiling, the cop shot him a sideways look.
I'll explain later.
When they arrived at the field, the only people there were Wachowski and his coach. They had come later than anticipated. The blue boy was looking down at the pavement with a crestfallen expression as he walked to the car. His coach followed Sonic and approached the driver's side window.
Late again, Tom, what did you have to fight a duck for a beagle?
He joked.
Seriously, though, try not to be this late again, between you and me. I think it's affecting his performance.
But how?
Tom asked, but before he got an answer, the coach was already walking toward his car. Tom looked over at the boy.
I ain't but hit any home runs.
Wachowski was silent. Sonic raised a brow ridge.
Look, I'm sorry that we got here late, but
"Don't talk to me."
Wachowski mumbled. Tom sighed as he began the drive back home. The long, silent drive back home. He would occasionally hear Wachowski mutter to himself, but what he was saying was unclear to both hog and human alike. However, it was obvious something had happened at practice today. When they arrived back at the house, Wachowski dashed straight up to his room in the attic. Tom sighed. Maddie walked up to the two of them.
Can someone tell me what's going on?
Tom and Sonic shrugged.
"You seemed upset about something."
Sonic stated. She sighed.
Well, let me talk to him.
Maddie began walking toward the attic. Sonic, however, saw this as yet another opportunity to repay the kindness of this family. However, something else caused him to spring into action. Sure, this was a way to pay off his debt, but Sonic genuinely wanted to comfort and cheer Wachowski up. After all, a Sonic shouldn't be sad.
"Wait, I'll go talk to him."
Sonic, your leg.
"I'll be fine. You guys go. Do whatever. This is the least I can do to repay you for letting me stay with you guys."
Sonic hobbled toward the attic. Luckily, the trapdoor was still open as Wachowski, in his haste, had apparently forgotten to shut it. Carefully, he took his crutches in one hand and began climbing up the ladder.
Sonic, please, don't hurt yourself.
I've been through worse than this. I'm fine.
Though it was a struggle, he managed to climb up into the attic. He flopped onto the floor, panting. Once he caught his breath, Sonic painfully stood up with the aid of his crutches and noticed the crying Wachowski on the race car bed. He hobbled over to the boy and sat next to him.
Wachowski, you okay?
Sonic asked, sighing.
Look, I'm sorry we got there late. My leg wasn't broken. I would have had you home in a sonic second.
Wachowski wiped his tears and looked up at his older counterpart. He looked so cool, even while injured, and cool was not something he'd used to describe himself or his mood at the moment. Wachowski stared at the floor.
That's not it at all. You wouldn't understand. We only met yesterday.
Sonic put an arm around the boy's shoulder.
Well, if you won't tell me, I definitely won't. Hang a mind reader, but...
He smirked. Wachowski giggled slightly at Sonic's attempt at lightening the mood. He sighed.
I'm used to Tom being late, but the other kids started making fun of me.
Tears began streaming down the boy's cheeks.
I got distracted in the outfield during practice. I must have been daydreaming or something, but I let the ball fall right in front of me. The coach scolded me for it, but he wasn't mad or anything. He was just doing his job. My teammates.
He began to choke up gently. Sonic rubbed soothing circles into the boy's back.
Don't worry, buddy, you can tell me.
He reassured softly. Wachowski took a deep breath.
They made fun of me. They said I was slow. And when you were late to pick me up, Jack said that.
He closed his eyes.
That Mom and Dad left me behind because I was too slow.
The boy began to cry into his older counterpart's chest. Sonic stroked the boy's wills.
It was an honest mistake, bud. It happens to the best of us.
But I don't want to make mistakes. Not even little ones. That's how I lost Long Claw. That's how I won up all alone.
This statement piqued Sonic's interest.
Buddy, calm down.
He said. The team then remembered something Maddie had said to him.
Breathe. Just breathe. Can you do that for me?
Wachowski took another deep breath, in through the nose, and out through the mouth. Some of the panic ebbed from his mind, the steady breath evening out.
Thanks.
Now, start from the beginning. Who's Long Claw?
The boy looked down.
Long Claw she was my mom, before Maddie. Maddie's my mom now. But Long Claw was like my first mom. She was a big hole where I used to live.
Wachowski was fighting back the tears.
One day, I picked a floor for her. I brought it home, but I didn't realize I didn't see that. They followed me.
Who's they?
Sonic asked.
The exit is they wanted my power. They started shooting at me. Longclaw tried to save me, but she got hurt. She sent me to Earth with the warp rings, and then she...
You couldn't save her.
It wasn't my fault. I just wanted to get her a flower.
Sonic's mind recalled each and every close call he had had with Eggman. His mind kept going to the ones he couldn't save. This kid in front of him was feeling that pain on a deeper level. For Sonic, the person was merely a friend or perhaps even an acquaintance. But for Wachowski, it was his mother.
She told me to stay hidden, and I did for 10 years, just watching people. Just lonely. So lonely.
The older hedgehog was trying his best to maintain the dam that was keeping back a waterfall of tears. This child in front of him had been alone and on the outside looking in since he was 2.5 years old. Sonic then compared it to his own life of adventure. He had friends, sure, but he wasn't real close to anyone, not even Tails, who he considered his best friend and even brother, was someone he confided in.
Not now, Sonic! Your feelings aren't important right now!
Sonic thought to himself. Without saying a word, he pulled the smaller hedgehog into a hug. Wachowski gasped as tears formed in his eyes, as he was still getting used to the feeling of actually deserving affection. His dam burst as he let out a river of tears.
Hey, it's okay, buddy.
Sonic soothed his younger counterpart. Wachowski wiped the tears from his eyes and looked up at Sonic.
Why are you being so nice to me? We just met yesterday.
You're a Sonic, and Sonic shouldn't be sad. You've had quite a rough life, and you're still just a kid at 10 years alone. That'd be hard on anybody.
Offering a smile, Sonic leaned back confidently, staring to the space around them.
But you pushed through it, buddy. You're not alone anymore. You have a family now.
Family, that word hit the older hedgehog harder than he thought it would. He swallowed before his own ocean of emotion was released.
So don't sweat the small stuff. You're not a failure, and you deserve the world.
Tears filled the younger hedgehog's eyes as he smiled and hugged his older counterpart.
Thanks, Bigme.
Wachowski exclaimed. Sonic smiled.
No problem, but now, wanna play some video games or something until dinner?
He noticed the sizable collection the young hedgehog had amassed. Wachowski nodded.
I just got a new Dragon Ball fighting game, so do you want to play that?
What's Dragon Ball?
Dinner was mostly silent. Given Wachowski's earlier blow-up, Maddie, however, was the first to break the silence.
You okay, sweetie?
He nodded, smiling as he ate his chili dog.
Yeah, Bigme and I had a good talk. Then I kicked his butt in fighters.
Sonic nearly choked on his chili dog upon hearing Wachowski tell Maddie about his devastating defeat.
Hey, give me a break! That damn doesn't exist in my world!
Sir Loser.
Wachowski stuck his tongue out at Sonic.
Show off!
Hey, you're the one who wanted me to go all out.
You didn't tell me you do some case full-blown hit against me!
It's Super Saiyan.
Wachowski had a cocky grin on his face as Sonic got madder and madder.
Super Copycat is more like it!
Maddie and Tom chuckled. They were just like brothers.
All right, enough you two. We don't want a power outage on our hands.
Wrong hit, yes ma'am!
Finish your dinner.
Sonic nodded as he resumed eating. Once the meal had concluded, it was soon obvious that one little hedgehog was tired. Wachowski, Tom and Maddie chuckled at their son.
I think it's bedtime, you men.
Shutting off the faucet, Maddie dried her hands on a dish towel. Dishes done and bedtime. The routine the family usually followed seemed to be in effect regardless of their guest.
I'm not tired. I still have a lot of energy to play more.
Wachowski said, yawning. Maddie chuckled.
Why don't you go get ready and I'll read you a bedtime story.
At the mention of this, Wachowski's ears perked up.
Okay, Mom.
Soon, he dashed up to the attic.
Bedtime story? But isn't he almost a teen or something?
Sonic asked. Maddie sighed.
He spent 10 years alone, with no one to care for him, just trying to make up for lost time.
Sonic frowned, remembering the boy's lonely life.
All right.
Hey, it's all right, bud. I had the same reaction when Ben started doing that. But she's right. The kid's been through a lot. He needs time to just be a kid.
Time to just be a kid.
Sonic thought. Maddie and Tom took note of Sonic's science, a trait they found unusual for an alternate version of their chatterbox child.
Everything all right, sweetie?
Oh, yeah. Where am I sleeping?
I set up the guest room while he was making dinner, so it's all ready for its noon dimensions face-off.
Tom replied. Sonic chuckled.
Thanks. Guess I should get ready for bed, too.
Sonic got up from the table, grabbed his crutches, and hobbled to the bathroom. Once Sonic had left, Maddie and Tom stared at each other.
So, something's up with this Sonic?
Maddie remarked. Tom nodded.
Hello, he's kind of giving me deja vu. Should we talk to him?
Not yet. You remember how long it took for our Blue Devil to open up? Let him come to us.
You acted as if he's our kid or something. He may be Sonic. He's not why Sonic.
Well, I guess maybe he kinda is our Sonic, in a way. Anyway, I better go upstairs. Can't keep the Blue Devil waiting.
Tom chuckled.
Right, I'll head on to bed, too.
He got up from the table and walked to the bedroom as Maddie did the same except walking toward the attic. She then pulled down the ladder and climbed up, where she was greeted by her little blueberry sitting at the foot of his race car bed, wagging his tail.
All right, wanna pick up where we left off in that superhero book?
I want to see if mine's okay. He kinda took a nasty blow.
Sonic stood below the attic, listening in as Maddie told her son this exciting tale. The teen's attention wasn't on the story, however, but on the storyteller. He had vague memories of someone doing the same for him when he was small, causing his chest to tighten slightly. It was as if he were listening in on what his life could have been. The jealousy from last night had returned as a single tear streamed down his cheek.
What a lucky kid.
Sonic thought, when the story had stopped, and all he could hear was the snoring of the young hedgie. Sonic quickly hobbled into the guest room. Lying down on the bed, he soon fell asleep. Maddie walked down the stairs and approached that very same room. Quietly opening the door, she checked on the sleeping teen. A smile spread across her lips. Other dimension or not, the hedgehog laying in bed was still her son. Right, or was it just a very similar hedgehog? She shrugged it off as she walked into the room, placing a kiss upon Sonic's forehead. Maddie then noticed the teen's tear-stained muzzle. Her brow furrowed out of concern, wondering if the boy had been crying.
Poor guy.
She thought Maddie had no idea what this version of Sonic had been through, but she was determined to find out. Lightly closing the door, she exited the room and joined Tom in bed.